You studied English for years, you understand almost everything. But when it's time to speak in a job interview, you freeze.
Your mind goes blank. Your heart starts racing. And suddenly, even simple words feel difficult.
You know the answer, but you can't say it.
And that one moment can cost you the opportunity you were waiting for.
But here's the truth.
It's not your English that's weak.
It's your confidence that's blocked.
And once you fix that, everything changes.
In this episode, we're going to break that fear
Step by step.
with simple, powerful lessons you can actually use.
No complicated grammar.
No confusing rules.
Just real speaking for real situations.
So if you've ever felt stuck,
If you've ever stayed silent,
this is your moment.
because today,
You don't just learn English.
you finally start speaking it.
No fear.
Just speak.
Have you ever noticed something strange? When you're alone, you can speak English. Not perfect, but enough. You understand. You form sentences. You feel okay.
But the moment you sit in front of an interviewer, everything changes.
Your mind goes blank.
Your heart starts beating faster.
And suddenly, the English you knew disappears.
So let's be honest. Is this really an English problem?
No, it's not.
It's fear.
Fear of being judged.
Fear of sounding stupid.
Fear that they will think, you are not good enough.
And this fear, it blocks your brain.
You know the answer. You've prepared it.
But your brain is busy thinking, what if I make a mistake? What if they laugh? What if I fail?
And because of that, you stop speaking.
Let me tell you something important.
Interviewers are not there to judge your grammar.
They are there to understand you.
They want to know, can you communicate?
Can you express your ideas?
Can you explain your experience?
That's it.
Not perfect grammar.
Not big vocabulary.
Just clear communication.
But your fear is lying to you.
It tells you, you must be perfect.
You must not make mistakes.
You must speak like a native.
And because of that, you say nothing.
Think about this.
What is worse?
Speaking simple English with small mistakes.
Or staying silent?
Silence loses opportunities.
Simple English creates them.
Let's change your mindset today.
Instead of saying, I must speak perfect English.
Say, I will speak clearly and honestly.
Instead of thinking, what if I make a mistake?
Think, what if I don't try?
Because confidence doesn't come before speaking.
It comes after speaking.
The more you speak,
The less fear you feel,
and slowly, that fear disappears.
you don't need perfect English to get the job.
You need courage to speak.
So next time you sit in an interview,
Don't wait for perfect words.
start speaking with simple ones.
Because your voice,
Is more powerful than your fear. Let's talk about something that confuses almost everyone.
the idea that you need advanced English to impress in an interview,
Big words, complex sentences, fancy vocabulary.
it sounds impressive, but it often creates more problems.
Because when you try to sound too advanced, you slow down.
You hesitate,
You overthink every word.
and suddenly, your confidence disappears again.
Here's the truth most people don't realize.
Simple English is powerful.
In fact, simple English is what professionals actually use.
Let's take an example.
Instead of saying, I possess exceptional leadership and organizational capabilities,
You can say, I manage my team well and complete tasks on time.
same meaning.
But clearer, more natural, more confident.
Interviewers don't care about how fancy you sound.
They care about how clearly they understand you.
If they understand you easily,
They trust you more.
and trust gets you hired.
Now think about this.
When you speak in your own language, do you use difficult words?
No, you speak simply,
Naturally.
without thinking too much.
That's exactly how English should feel.
But when you try to sound perfect,
You lose your natural flow.
and that creates pressure.
So from today, change your approach.
Don't try to impress with big words,
Impress with clear ideas,
short sentences,
direct answers.
real meaning.
For example, if they ask, tell me about your experience,
Don't create long, complicated answers.
say it simply.
I worked in sales for 2 years. I helped customers and increased sales.
That's strong.
That's confident.
And most importantly, that's easy to understand.
Remember this line.
Simple English, strong impact.
Complex English, weak delivery.
So next time you speak,
Don't chase perfection.
choose clarity.
Because in interviews,
The person who communicates clearly.
is the person who gets remembered.
Let's be honest. Most people go into interviews hoping for confidence.
But they forget something important.
Confidence doesn't come from hope,
It comes from preparation.
and not just any preparation.
The right preparation.
Because here's the truth.
Interview questions are not random.
In fact, most interviews follow the same pattern.
The same questions, again and again.
And if you're not prepared for them,
You'll freeze, even if you know English.
so let's make this simple.
There are a few core questions you must master.
The first one, tell me about yourself.
This is where most people fail,
Not because it's hard,
but because they don't prepare it.
they start thinking on the spot.
And their answer becomes messy, confusing, and weak.
But if you prepare it properly,
It becomes your strongest moment.
you start with your name,
Then your experience or education.
then one or two key strengths.
Simple, clear, structured.
The second question, why should we hire you?
This is not about being perfect.
It's about showing value.
What can you do for them?
Keep it simple.
I am hardworking. I learn quickly. I can help your team.
That's enough.
The third one. What are your strengths?
Don't list 10 things
Choose 2 or 3.
and say them clearly.
I am responsible. I work well in teams.
The fourth one, what is your weakness?
Most people panic here.
But you don't need a perfect answer.
Just be honest and show improvement.
I sometimes overthink, but I am learning to manage it.
And the fifth one. Why do you want this job?
This shows your intention.
Keep it real.
I want to grow. I want to learn. I like this company.
Now here's the mistake people make,
They read these answers,
but they don't speak them.
and when the real moment comes,
Their voice shakes. Their words break.
so do this instead,
Practice out loud,
again and again,
not to memorize.
but to become comfortable.
Because when your answers are ready,
Your fear becomes smaller,
your mind becomes clear.
and your voice becomes strong.
Preparation doesn't make you perfect.
It makes you ready.
And in an interview,
Being ready does everything. Let me ask you something honestly.
when you try to speak English, what happens inside your mind?
Do you first think in your own language,
And then slowly translate into English?
word by word,
Sentence by sentence.
and by the time you're ready to speak,
The moment is already gone.
this right here is one of the biggest reasons you feel stuck,
Not because you don't know English.
but because your brain is doing extra work,
Translation is slow.
and speaking needs speed.
That's why you hesitate.
That's why you freeze.
That's why your confidence drops.
Because while others are speaking,
You are still translating.
now imagine this.
Someone asks you a question in your native language.
Do you translate before answering?
No,
You respond instantly,
naturally.
without effort.
That's because your brain is trained in that language.
And this is exactly what you need to do with English.
Train your brain to think directly in English.
Not translate, but think.
Now you might be thinking,
But how can I do that? My English is not strong.
that's the mistake.
You don't need strong English to start thinking in English.
You need simple English.
Start small.
Very small.
Look around you right now.
Whatever you see, describe it in English.
This is a table.
I am sitting.
I am listening.
Simple thoughts.
No pressure.
No perfect grammar.
Just thinking.
Because thinking is the first step to speaking.
The more you think in English,
The less you depend on translation.
and when translation disappears,
Your speed increases.
your confidence grows.
And your speaking becomes natural.
Now let's connect this to your job interview.
In an interview, time is limited.
You don't have time to translate.
If you try, you will hesitate,
And hesitation looks like lack of confidence.
even if you know the answer.
So instead of thinking,
What is this in my language?
start thinking.
How can I say this simply in English?
For example,
The interviewer asks, "Tell me about your experience."
if you translate, you will get stuck.
But if you think directly in English,
You say, I worked in sales, I helped customers, I learned communication.
simple,
Clear,
fast,
that's what you need.
not perfect sentences.
But real communication.
Here's a small exercise.
Every day, take 5 minutes.
Close your eyes.
And talk to yourself in English.
About your day,
About your plans.
about anything.
Don't stop if you make mistakes.
Don't switch languages,
Stay in English,
even if it's broken,
even if it's slow.
because slowly, your brain adapts.
It starts creating sentences automatically,
Without translation.
without fear,
And that's the moment everything changes.
because now you're not learning English anymore.
You're using it.
And using creates fluency.
Another important thing.
Stop trying to translate difficult thoughts.
Keep your thoughts simple.
If a sentence feels hard,
Break it.
make it smaller.
Easier.
Because communication is not about showing intelligence.
It's about sharing ideas.
And simple ideas are powerful.
Now listen carefully.
The reason you feel nervous in interviews,
Is not because of English.
it's because your brain is overloaded,
Thinking, translating, worrying.
all at the same time.
But when you think directly in English,
You remove half the pressure.
your mind becomes calm,
Your speech becomes smooth.
and your confidence becomes real.
So from today,
Make one decision.
stop translating,
Start thinking.
even if it feels uncomfortable at first,
Keep going.
because every small effort,
Builds a stronger habit.
and that habit,
Turns into fluency.
in your interview,
You don't need perfect words.
you need fast, clear thoughts.
And those thoughts come,
When your mind speaks English.
not translates it.
So train your mind,
Trust the process.
and when the moment comes,
You won't freeze.
you won't hesitate,
You will simply speak,
naturally,
confidently,
and most importantly.
without fear.
Let's talk about something most people ignore.
Practice.
Not just any practice,
Real practice.
because here's the truth.
You don't learn speaking by reading.
You don't learn speaking by watching,
You learn speaking by speaking.
and this is where most people fail.
They watch videos.
They read books,
They understand everything.
but they never open their mouth.
And then they say,
I understand English, but I can't speak.
of course you can't.
Because speaking is a skill.
And skills grow with action, not knowledge.
Think about it.
Can you learn swimming by watching videos?
No.
You have to enter the water.
The same is true for English.
You have to enter the conversation,
Even if you feel uncomfortable,
even if you feel nervous.
even if you make mistakes.
That's how you grow.
Now the question is,
How do I practice if I don't have anyone to talk to?
good question.
And the answer is simple.
Start with yourself.
Yes. Talk to yourself.
It may feel strange at first.
But it is one of the most powerful techniques.
Stand in front of a mirror
Look at yourself.
and start speaking.
My name is.
I have experience in
I am good at.
answer interview questions.
Practice your introduction.
Speak slowly.
Speak clearly.
Don't rush.
This does something very important.
It trains your mouth.
It trains your brain.
And most importantly,
It reduces your fear.
because when you speak alone,
There is no judgment,
no pressure,
no fear of being wrong.
and that gives you freedom.
Now let's go one step further.
Record your voice,
Yes. Record yourself speaking.
then listen to it.
At first, you might feel uncomfortable.
You might think,
Do I really sound like this?
but that's okay.
Because this is how you improve.
When you listen,
You notice your mistakes,
your pauses,
your pronunciation.
and slowly you fix them.
This is real practice,
Not passive learning.
active improvement.
Now let's make it even more powerful.
Practice with real questions,
Not random sentences.
real interview questions.
For example,
Tell me about yourself.
speak your answer,
Record it.
improve it,
Repeat it
again and again.
until it feels natural.
Because in the interview,
You don't want to think too much,
you want to respond smoothly.
and that comes from repetition.
Let me tell you something powerful.
The first time you speak, it feels hard.
The second time, a little easier.
The third time, more natural.
And after many times,
It becomes automatic.
that's how confidence is built.
Not in one day.
But through repeated action,
Now imagine this.
you walk into an interview,
They ask you a question.
and instead of panic,
You feel familiar.
because you've already said this before,
Many times.
that's the power of practice.
It turns fear into familiarity.
Now let's talk about another important point.
Practice speaking out loud.
Not in your head.
Because thinking is not speaking.
Your brain may know the sentence,
But your mouth needs training.
so always speak out loud.
Hear your own voice.
Feel the words,
Build the habit.
and don't wait for perfect conditions.
Don't say,
I will start when I'm ready.
you become ready by starting.
Even 10 minutes a day.
Can change everything.
If you do it consistently,
Small daily practice.
big long-term results.
And remember,
You don't need a partner to start.
you don't need a classroom.
You don't need perfect grammar.
You just need your voice.
And the courage to use it.
Because at the end of the day,
Speaking English is not about knowing more.
it's about using what you already know.
So stop waiting.
Stop overthinking.
Start speaking.
Practice today.
Practice tomorrow.
Practice every day.
And slowly,
That fear will disappear.
that hesitation will fade.
And your voice.
Will become your strength.
In your interview,
You won't feel stuck.
you won't feel afraid.
You will feel ready.
Because you didn't just learn English.
You practiced it.
And that.
Changes everything. Let's talk about the one thing that silently destroys your confidence.
Mistakes.
Not the mistakes themselves.
But your fear of making them.
Because every time you try to speak,
There's a voice inside your head
It says, what if I say it wrong?
What if my grammar is incorrect?
What if they don't understand me?
And because of these thoughts,
You stop yourself.
you pause.
You stay silent.
But let me ask you something honestly.
Have you ever learned anything in life without making mistakes?
When you were a child, learning to speak your own language,
Did you speak perfectly from day one?
no,
You made mistakes.
many mistakes.
But did anyone stop you?
No.
You kept speaking.
And slowly, you improved.
So why is it different now?
Why do you expect perfection from yourself?
Why do you think one mistake will destroy everything?
It won't.
In fact,
Mistakes are your teachers.
every mistake shows you
What to improve,
what to fix.
what to learn next.
But here's the problem.
Most people treat mistakes like enemies,
They avoid speaking.
just to avoid mistakes.
And because of that,
They never improve.
let me tell you something powerful.
The people who speak the most,
Make the most mistakes.
but they also improve the fastest.
And the people who stay silent,
Make no mistakes.
but they also make no progress.
So you have a choice.
Stay silent and feel safe.
Or speak and grow.
Now think about your job interview.
You're sitting there,
Nervous.
overthinking every word.
Trying to be perfect.
And because of that,
Your sentences break.
your voice shakes.
Your mind gets stuck.
But imagine a different approach.
You accept that mistakes may happen.
And you speak anyway.
You don't stop.
You don't panic.
You continue your sentence.
That is confidence.
Not perfection.
Interviewers don't expect you to be perfect.
They expect you to communicate
If you make a small mistake,
and still express your idea clearly.
that shows strength.
Because confidence is not about being flawless.
It's about staying calm when you're not.
Let's remove one big myth.
Fluent speakers don't make mistakes.
That's false.
Even fluent speakers make mistakes.
The difference is
They don't stop.
they keep speaking
They correct themselves naturally.
and they move forward.
That's what you need to learn,
Not how to avoid mistakes.
but how to continue after them.
Here's a simple shift.
Instead of thinking, I must not make mistakes.
Think, I will keep speaking even if I make mistakes.
This one change
Removes pressure.
builds confidence.
Now let's talk about something deeper.
Why do mistakes feel so scary?
Because of judgment.
You think people will laugh,
You think they will think less of you.
but in reality,
Most people don't care that much.
and interviewers?
They are focused on your answers.
Not your small grammar errors.
They are asking,
Can this person do the job?
can this person communicate?
Can this person handle responsibility?
Not.
Did this person use perfect grammar?
So stop putting unnecessary pressure on yourself.
You are not giving an English exam,
You are having a conversation.
and conversations are never perfect.
Now here's a powerful exercise.
Next time you practice speaking,
Allow yourself to make mistakes.
don't stop.
Don't restart.
Just continue,
Train your brain to stay calm.
even when things are not perfect.
Because in real situations,
You won't have time to restart.
you need flow.
You need continuity.
And that only comes.
When you accept imperfection,
Another important thing.
stop judging yourself so harshly.
You are learning.
You are improving.
Every time you speak.
You are getting better.
But if you stop yourself every time,
You block your own progress.
so be patient.
Be kind to yourself,
Because confidence grows in a safe mind.
not in a fearful one.
Now imagine this moment.
You're in the interview,
You say something slightly wrong.
but you don't stop.
You continue.
You finish your answer.
That one moment.
Changes everything.
Because now,
You are in control.
not your fear.
And that is what makes you stand out.
Not perfect English.
But fearless communication.
So from today,
Make a promise to yourself.
I will speak.
I will make mistakes.
And I will keep going.
Because every mistake,
Is one step closer to fluency.
and in your interview,
You don't need to be perfect.
you just need to be brave enough.
To speak anyway, let's talk about something most people completely ignore.
Your body.
Yes, your body.
Because the way you sit, the way you breathe, the way you hold yourself.
It directly affects how you speak.
Think about the last time you felt nervous.
Your shoulders were tight.
Your breathing was fast.
Your voice was shaky.
Your hands, maybe cold or restless.
And in that moment,
Even if you knew the answer,
you couldn't say it properly.
that's because your body and mind are connected.
When your body is tense,
Your mind feels pressure.
and when your mind feels pressure,
Your voice loses confidence.
so instead of only fixing your English,
You need to control your body.
because when you control your body,
You control your voice.
let's start with something simple.
breathing.
Most people don't realize this.
But when you're nervous,
You stop breathing properly,
your breaths become short,
fast.
and that creates panic.
So before you speak,
Take a slow breath.
inhale
Hold for a moment.
and exhale slowly.
Do it again.
And again.
Within seconds,
Your body starts to relax.
your mind becomes calm.
And when your mind is calm,
Your words become clear.
now let's talk about posture.
The way you sit matters.
If you sit like this,
Shoulders down, head low.
you automatically feel weak,
But if you sit straight,
back aligned.
shoulders relaxed,
You feel different,
stronger,
more present.
your body sends a signal to your brain.
I am confident.
Even if you don't feel it inside,
Your body can create it.
this is powerful.
Now let's talk about eye contact,
Many people avoid it.
because they feel shy.
Nervous.
But avoiding eye contact sends the wrong message.
It shows lack of confidence.
You don't need to stare.
Just look naturally.
When you speak,
When you listen,
it creates connection.
it shows presence.
And most importantly,
It makes you feel more in control.
now here's something interesting.
Your voice changes based on your body.
When you're nervous,
Your voice becomes low,
unclear.
sometimes shaky.
But when your body is relaxed,
Your voice becomes steady,
clear.
confident.
So before you speak,
Don't rush.
pause for a second,
Take a breath.
and then start.
This small pause,
Gives you control.
it tells your brain,
I am ready.
now let's go deeper.
Confidence is not just a feeling.
It's a behavior.
You don't wait to feel confident,
You act confident first.
and then the feeling follows.
So even if you feel nervous inside,
Act calm outside.
sit straight,
Breathe slowly.
speak clearly.
And something amazing happens.
Your mind starts to believe it.
This is how real confidence is built.
Now imagine this.
You walk into the interview,
Your heart is beating fast.
but instead of panicking,
You take a slow breath.
you sit straight.
You relax your shoulders.
The interviewer asks a question.
You pause.
You breathe.
And then you answer.
Your voice is steady,
Your words are clear,
not perfect,
but confident.
and that's what matters.
Because people don't remember perfect grammar.
They remember how you made them feel.
And confidence creates trust.
Now here's a powerful mindset shift.
Your body is not your enemy.
It's your tool.
Use it.
Train it
Before every practice,
before every interview,
prepare your body.
not just your answers.
Because when your body is calm,
Your mind is clear.
and when your mind is clear,
Your speech becomes natural.
so don't just practice English.
Practice presence.
Practice breathing.
Practice posture.
Because these small things,
Create big changes.
and in your interview,
You won't feel controlled by fear.
you will feel in control of yourself.
And that,
Is real confidence.
so next time you speak,
Remember this.
slow breath,
Straight posture,
calm mind,
and then
just speak,
no fear.
no hesitation.
Just you.
At your best. So now you see,
It was never about difficult words or perfect grammar.
it was about fear, hesitation, and how you handle it.
And now, you have the tools to change that.
You know how to think clearly,
How to speak simply,
how to practice the right way,
and most importantly, how to stay confident even when you're not perfect.
because that's the real secret.
Not perfect English.
But fearless communication.
So the next time you walk into an interview,
Don't wait for the perfect sentence.
start with a simple one.
Don't wait to feel confident.
Act confident.
And slowly, but your confidence will follow.
Remember,
Opportunities don't go to the most perfect speaker.
they go to the one who dares to speak.
So take that step.
Use your voice,
Speak even if your voice shakes.
because every word you speak,
Takes you closer to your goal.
and one day,
That fear you feel today,
will not control you anymore.
it will remind you.
How far you've come.
So keep going,
Keep practicing,
keep speaking,
because your voice matters.
and your moment is coming.
No fear.
Just speak.